San Paolo E-Prix pre-race press conference with our drivers. We have Mitch Evans from Jaguar TCS Racing, Lucas di Grassi from Cupra, and Sérgio Sette Câmara from EIT Formula E team. Welcome back to Sao Paulo, or potentially not for you guys as Brazilians, but Formula E's second visit here, of course. Feeling good to be back after a slightly longer break. Starting with you, Lucas.
You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
First, good afternoon, everyone. It's always good to be. It had to be Mark. It's always good to be back in São Paulo. Second time here, my home city, home E-Prix. And after a long break, it feels like we're starting again this season. But yes, feel good to be back racing. It was a too long break for me.
Sérgio?
Yeah, I'd say the same. I wish we didn't have such a long break. I think, India being cancelled was what caused that. But it does feel like it will be strange to get back in the car, and especially for the race, once the lights go out, and you get that same season you get early in the season. So yeah, just will be all about getting the rhythm, getting to understand the car as quickly as possible. We don't have shakedown here, so straight into FP1, so similar to Riyadh. And specifically about being racing in São Paulo, I'm extremely happy. It's not my home city as it is for Lucas, but it's pretty close, maybe 1 hour flight from here, and I get some family and friends around, so it's quite special.
Mitch?
It's been a long break, so it's good to get back into it. Love being back in Brazil. It's always quite a good, passionate atmosphere here. I'm jealous of these guys in their home race. Hopefully one day we can get one in New Zealand, but great to be back.
So just sticking with you, Mitch, for the first few questions. Jaguar manufacturer, powertrain supplier, the best result came here last season, the complete lockout of the podium of Jaguar powered cars. Your first victory of the season as well, last season. How possible is it to replicate that success, do you think, this weekend?
Anything can happen, but I think highly unlikely, just because of the nature of the race we'll be facing this weekend. It's going to be very different to the first three. So look, it could happen, but it could be a really a big mix-up as well compared to what we've seen in the first two races. So we were competitive here last year. There's no guarantees for this year, and it's been a long break, so maybe teams have made a little bit of improvement since Saudi. Obviously coming back here after a win or something like that, always feels good energy, good vibes. But I think the race, anything can really happen, to be honest. So for a result like last year would be very good.
Can you touch upon that a bit more, the characteristics of the circuit and how that might play into the racing tomorrow?
Yeah, it's quite a nice layout here. It kind of opens up for good racing because of the long straights, big braking zones. And it's quite a few of them, so just naturally that normally forms quite a good racing track. And then obviously with the usable energy that we have actually less compared to last year. So it's going to be a very, very much a strategic race and a lot of options to overtake. So yeah, I think it's going to have a run out of energy. But yeah, I think it's going to be a really interesting race. Looking forward to seeing how it plays out. But the track normally offers good racing. So hopefully it's a good show for everyone watching.
It certainly did last season. Let's kind of set the scene of your journey so far in season 10. You've had 2 P5s and a P10. Obviously, I know you'd like to have scored more in those first 3 races. What do you put those results down to, and what needs to happen now to get more out of them, get on the podium, get that race win?
Not a lot, to be honest. I think the pure pace has been there from the first practice in Mexico, being always in the top 5 or so. Just haven't been able to convert in the races for obviously different reasons. So it's been obviously a bit disappointing so far. So I'm hoping to obviously try and get a good result this weekend obviously my main focus is the championship this year. So you don't want to leave it late like I did last year to try and catch up. So but it's definitely not been the side I wanted, but it's not been a disaster as well. So look, there's still a long way to go. Just trying to be smart from now on to obviously score as big as I can, and see see where we end up. But yeah, we'll see.
It's certainly a tricky style of racing, but this time last year, or when we raced it last season, you were the only driver to start in the podium position and finish in the podium position. Is that going to be harder to achieve this season with everyone knowing a little bit more about how the circuit unfolds?
You mean this race in particular?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think honestly this race could go could be anyone's. So it's really hard to predict where you want to qualify. Should it be the front or mid pack or whatever. So yeah, we'll see. But I think it's going to be quite an interesting race from a strategy point of view.
Moving on to you, Lucas, before we come to you, Sergio. Racing, as you said, not just in your home country, but in the city that you grew up in, lots of history here for you. There must be a real sense of pride that comes with that as well.
Yes, it does. I've raced here in pretty much all the categories that I raced in my life, from Formula One to the World Endurance Championship, stock cars, and now Formula E after so many years. And being here in San Paolo is, I grew up here. I still, I've been 20 years away from home, but every time I come back, it's always feel like home to me, San Paulo. So having the friends, family, public, the fans, it gives a extra good vibe, and I hope Formula E stays in San Paulo for many, many more years to come.
Now, just to touch upon last season, after contact with the wall in quali, you had to make up a lot of places in the race, and you did. I think it was nine places, P22 to 13. It seems as if with the energy deduction this time around and the slipstream here, something similar might be, or even better, might be possible, if it comes to it.
Yeah, I have to correct you. Actually, the wall made contact with me on that qualifying. And nevertheless, we know that we have a car which is not at the level that it needs to be to consistently fight for podiums and victories. But as Mitch said, there are many races this year that the slipstream and the way the race unfolds could be good. Portland, which is probably the highest in this extreme of this slipstream effect, is probably the highest. Was my best race last year. Managed to finish 7th, fighting with everyone. So I hope I can repeat that strategy here. Be able to save when it needs to save, be aggressive when it needs to be aggressive, and be able to compensate the let's say the powertrain difference with a better strategy, a better way to use the energy.
It would be good to get an insight from you about that, what you just said, in terms of the energy disadvantage with certain powertrains versus what's gained in the slipstream.
So everybody understands what we're talking about in a little bit more in a nutshell how the race unfolds. So the slipstream, so we have in qualifying, doesn't matter how much energy you use. You can use any energy. And then in qualifying, you have a fixed amount of energy you can use. The energy has been reduced from last year here in San Paulo to this year by 1.5 kilowatt hour. That means that if you are following another car in the race, you can gain up to a second in lap time. And 1 second, we know that in Formula E, is more than the difference between the best car and the worst car. So by following, imagine you have the best car, the fastest driver with the fastest car in front, and the worst driver with the worst car in the back. The driver in the back will be able to follow the guy in front and probably have more energy at the end of the race. So this is the effect of the slipstream. Of course, on average, with all the dynamics, this is a different story. But this is how powerful the slipstream is. And in this category, we joke between ourselves, it's almost like in the Tour de France, that you need a pack and you need to position yourself in the right moment. So you attack and you have enough energy, in Tour de France case in your legs, but you have enough energy so you attack in the right time. But if you are too late, you can have more energy, and then you're not able to overtake. So it's a very interesting and very complicated way to do that, but it's possible. So we have many races this year like with this situation. San Paolo is one of the highest because we have very long straights and tight corners. And we can definitely make use of this and hopefully get our best result of the year here.
Thank you very much for the explanation. That's a great insight. Sergio, moving on to you. Also a home race for yourself, a Brazilian driver. How are you feeling about it? Does that, just that alone, does that bring extra pressure or motivation?
Yeah, it does. It does bring extra pressure. But you know, it's part of it. It's better to accept. But maybe for others, maybe you ask Lucas, he has a different answer. Or, you know, Mitch, unfortunately, doesn't have any home races. But you know, for me, it does bring pressure because you feel like since it is your home race, you should maybe perform better. But on paper, there's no reason why you should. And obviously, I'm trying my best in every race. Doesn't matter where we are. So. Yeah, I think it's about balancing, you know, the pressure that comes with it, but also the good things that come about it. In my case, having my family around, my friends around, Brazilian fans. But you know, it can actually turn out to be a worse race if you don't manage it well, because you do have a lot more time limitations with media, sponsorship. You also need to give the attention to your friends, family. So if you don't organize yourself well, it can actually be worse. But I like racing here, and of course want to get a special result, but I'll focus as well on enjoying it, because hopefully Formula E will be here for many years, and I will also be in Formula E for many years. But it could be like we saw maybe with Cape Town, Korea. Sometimes especially with racing in cities, things change, and if you don't enjoy it, you could regret it. So, but it is special for me.
So just to touch upon your start to the season, because it's been quite tough. You had car issues. You didn't manage to race in Mexico. Struggling with the efficiency. What do you make your chances here now? Going back on what Lucas was saying about how there is chances for less competitive machinery.
I have quite a similar view to Lucas. Actually, I used earlier in an interview when I was asked a similar question. I actually used Lucas's example in Portland as to why you can possibly score on a track like San Paolo. Of course, it's not as extreme at Portland, but he at that stage, I think Mahindra wasn't the most competitive team, and he got a P7. In a very competitive race. I think most of the cars finished the race, so it's not like it was carnage and he got points. It was actually on merit, so it just shows that if you manage it really well, you still have a disadvantage, of course, like you still will have, because everyone is driving in a peloton style, but we need to do a lot better to be in the same energy as the others by the time the race starts getting fast. So it's still a huge challenge, but if you do the right strategy, if you don't, when all the cars pile up in the corners and are slowing down, if you manage to stay away from that traffic, you can race efficiently and maybe score. So that's my objective for San Paolo. Of course, I also want to try to qualify well, because I feel with our car, it's the moment of the weekend we can maybe get a nice result. Yeah, not as important qualifying well here as it is in Riyadh, for example. I don't think so.
And finally, I wanted to ask you about the SSC Institute, because I saw a lovely little video on Formula E social media channels about your karting charity, getting disadvantaged kids into karting. It's great to be able to see how it works and how you tie your professional life into something like that. Can you tell us a bit more about it and why it's set up?
Yeah, so it was. It's an institute I have in my city in Belo Horizonte. So like I said, it's about 500 kilometers from here, and we have 40 kids twice a week for 1 year. And they're aged between 10 and 14 years old. They come from some tough regions and near Belo Horizonte. And we unite sports, so we give them the opportunity to be driving cars on those 2 days of the week with studies. So first of all, we select them based on social vulnerability and how well they're performing on school. So we have a partnership with the local city hall. They help us select those kids. And then also on our institute, they drive the cars, but they also have extra lessons. So yeah, we had Formula E there to do some filming. I think the crew that was there, they really liked the event, they liked what they saw. And it's always good always when I'm in Belo, I'm there, because in the end, the institute runs without me while I'm racing around the world here in Formula E. Of course, I have a team there to make it happen, but always when I'm there, I'm part of it. And it's something that brings, it feels like giving back, because in the sport, of course we know it's elite sports, and but everyone comments about it, but very few people do something about it. And I feel like we had this opportunity to help with the project. There's also an idea that came from my father, and yeah, I feel like it's 40 kids may not sound like a huge number, but I think we're actually impacting those kids like very deeply. So it's a project that brings a lot of gratitude, and yeah, hopefully I'm sure they'll be cheering for me this weekend, and I'm sure and it's an extra motivation for myself.
Amazing to hear. Thanks very much, gentlemen. I'm afraid that is all we have time for, but the media